Mainz have proved to be something of a bogey team for Borussia Dortmund in recent seasons. They'd won 2 of their last 3 visits there. They managed to take a point away from the Signal Iduna Park today. But Janusz, in this 1-1 draw for them, I'm wondering if Dortmund will be rueing missing those early chances in the first half.
Of course, there will be. There will be not just the early chances, but even in the second half when Mainz were leading. Obviously, in a minute, they could have changed that game if Marco Reus put away that penalty, right? At 2-1, probably they would have seen it through, and it's a different story. And Kay, could have been a different story right from the get-go. 90 seconds in, we'd be here once again waxing lyrical about Erling Haaland because that finish was absolutely tremendous for a young player like him. But that wasn't to be. And I think if you look at the goalkeeper, Zentner, Robin Zentner was absolutely outstanding early on with those 2 saves, one on Julian Brandt and Marco Reus, that one-on-one when Emre Can sent him through. So what if, I suppose, they didn't get it done, and these are massive points lost?
Because you wonder if then Mainz coming into the second half had a different attitude because they knew they'd managed to keep them at bay until then. Obviously, great work from the goalkeeper, as you mentioned, because who would have expected that it would be Mainz to go ahead when they did?
Yes, it was against the run of play. We've mentioned the role that Robin Zentner has played in the first half for Mainz. Roman Burki has 1 save to make, and I think he should have made it. Yeah, Oshtunali, that was a good strike, but if you really look closely, if you just ask 1 question in a game, for the most part, there are a couple chances laid there for Mainz. But if you ask that question, I think you have to answer that. And he didn't do that because I do feel that Roman Burki could have saved that. But yes, Mainz grew in confidence. That often happens when you survive. And that's exactly what happens. What happened to Mainz. I still think there's way too much talent there in terms of Borussia Dortmund to find a way to win this game. So, there's no 2 ways about it. There are many excuses, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about them later. But Borussia Dortmund should have won that game.
Well, they seem to have something going on where if Erling Haaland doesn't score or he has a goal that's allowed in this game and doesn't get a goal, that they do struggle to see out the game and get all 3 points. Could that be a problem going forward?
Well, yes. I mean, it's been a problem at times. I mean, I think that's what you get when when you have a team that's just so young. You start on the bench, and I think Edin Terzic is doing a good job. He's changed the way this team has played, no doubt about it. But he's still somewhat young and inexperienced, right? And then you're asking question of so many kids on this team. I mean, if you look at the experience or inexperience of that team, it's telling. And this is one of those reasons. I mean, who are we talking about? Mats Hummels, 1 experienced player, right? Axel Witsel out for the season. So that goes out the window. Thomas Meunier, okay. I mean, he played a part, right? I mean, scored a goal and a minute later created a penalty. But other than that, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to tell me Marco Reus, okay. And then Yusuf Moukoko, Gio Reyna, who I can't get rid of that, sorry. Gio Reyna didn't even play. Yusuf Moukoko, Erling Haaland, Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham, and those are young kids, and sometimes you pay the price for that. I mean, look today. I mean, you have Yusuf Moukoko coming in for Jude Bellingham, a 16-year-old coming in for a 17-year-old, and by the way, both of them were outstanding. Jude Bellingham, I mean, I could just spend the next 10 minutes talking about him, how good he was in the game. And Moukoko created that goal, or at least saved the first goal. So I think those are some of the problems that you're dealing with, Kay.
But is that a youth problem then? Because if Jude Bellingham, as you say, definitely the player of the first half, 17 years old, is that a youth problem? Because if you're good enough, you're old enough, surely, Janusz.
Well, it is. I mean, he couldn't done much better. I mean, hit the post right there. It is in a way. I mean, not because they drop points here, but I think it's hard to ask 16 and 17-year-olds sometimes to be clinical in what they do. Well, you ask them to look like experienced players, which they did. And then you have a man like Marco Reus that was one-on-one with the goalkeeper, didn't do that. Then you have a penalty and he doesn't even hit the target. He misses it. That is the problem, not Jude Bellingham and not Jadon Sancho and not those players. It's Marco Reus. In times when they need him, he's got to score. Roman Burki, the goalkeeper, who's very experienced, when he was asked that 1 question, he didn't answer it. And people say it was a good shot from Ushtinali. Yes, it was. But if you watch it closely, I think Roman Bürki is capable of saving that. So that to me is the difference. Those two moments, two very experienced players that need to help these young players, that put them in a position to win the game, because they have put them in a position to win the game.
And also, just speaking of the young players and in their defence, to continue that point, is that Gio Reyna, when he's not in the team, the stats aren't as good when it comes to the wins. So you talked about Borussia Dortmund being under a new coach. You like what you're seeing from them. Is it better than what we saw under Lucien Favre?
Well, it is a number of levels. I mean, if you just look statistically coming into the games, 4 wins out of 5 matches for Terzic, right? It was just 1 win, I think, in 5 for Lucien Favre. Changed the formation from 3 in the back where they played, right? I mean, they were for long periods of time to 4-2-3-1, which I think has helped them pressing much higher. The line of defense is a little bit higher. And I think they're very good in winning the ball very quickly and creating those opportunities, which they've done. I mean, they've created enough to win 2 games today. So again, I look at Terzic, and would have been a better story had they won this game, of course, but I look at him as a little bit of what Hansi Flick has done at Bayern Munich, right? Hansi Flick came in young, inexperienced, interim coach turned full-time coach who has won every trophy last season. I'm not saying that Terzic can do that, but he's also an interim one. People seem to be looking at maybe other coaches, but I think he's done a pretty good job. A little bit unfortunate. Again, I don't want to make excuses because they've got to beat Mainz, who are last in the table here. But I think this team is different. And, you know, on a positive note, even though the result wasn't as good as they would have wished for.
When you do look at their next match, it's Bayer Leverkusen. They will be without Emre Can, and we know they're without Witsel. He got injured, as we saw last week against Leipzig. So do you think they're going to be okay there? Because Emre Can is now suspended after card accumulation.
Well, I mean, I didn't mention him as one of those few experienced players, right? So it's a massive loss again. You know, Thomas Delaney is going to probably come in. He's got a little bit of experience. Jude Bellingham most likely will play next to him because he deserves to play there. So at the very least, they have that. But yeah, it's a massive negative because Emre Can now, in the absence of Axel Witsel, is going to be missing that one. I guess the good news is, I mean, if you're looking for silver lining here, is that Leverkusen just lost to Union. Everybody else dropped points. Wolfsburg dropping points today as well. So Bayern Munich is not at their best. And I think that's the worst of it all, because even though I don't think Borussia Dortmund are in position to, or you know, are talented enough as a whole to win the Bundesliga, when you look everybody else, they seem to be struggling as well. So that's why they will rue these points.
Yeah, it finished 1-1 in the end for Borussia Dortmund, although there were plenty of chances. And as we mentioned, a missed penalty for Marco Reus. But bottom of the table, Mainz taking a point away from the Signal Iduna Park.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.